whether you like it or not, at some point in your chess career, you're gonna play the Sicilian. You just have to play e4, and black responds with c5, and you're in it. You're in it, baby, and there's no way out. It's not up to you when you play e4. So at some point, you're gonna have to study it. And I'm gonna help you with this today. I'm gonna show you one very specific variation, the Hyperaccelerated Dragon. First, I'm gonna explain to you why is it called the Hyperaccelerated Dragon, and what about the other dragons. So it starts with knight f3, and often it's the case here that black plays d6. We try to take the center with d4. Black takes, we take back, and black plays knight f6, and we bring in the other knight. And now the main line says a6. It's called the Najdorf. I hope truly for you that you will never play the Najdorf. It's nobody likes it. If you are lucky, black decides here to deviate from this main line and play g6, fianchetto their bishop. And this is what we call a dragon. Why? Why is it called a dragon? Well, let's just flip the board. As you can see, these pawns together, it's a fucking dragon, man. I swear it's a dragon on the chessboard. So yeah, that's why it's called the dragon. However, there are different types of dragons. 3 of them to be exact, and they're classified based on the timing of the move g6. If g6 is played now in this position, we call it a normal open Sicilian dragon. However, black could have played it a bit earlier. Right here, for example, before they bring the knight to f6, they could have played g6. This is what they call the accelerated dragon, because it's a bit quicker than the other dragon. This is the accelerated dragon. But hold up, they could have played g6 way earlier. Let's say before even they play d6. If you look at the database, you see there's already a pretty prominent g6 here. This is the fastest dragon in the world of chess, and we call it the Hyperaccelerated Dragon. It's basically a dragon on cocaine coming at you with hypersonic speed, and you're gonna have to deal with this monster. And I'm gonna help you today with this. The whole video is about this variation, the Hyperaccelerated Dragon. Don't try to apply what you learned today on the other dragons. This only works on this dragon. This is very important. All these dragons require a whole different approach with white. Don't study one and try to apply it to all of them. These dragons will eat you. These dragons will eat you alive, and you're gonna have a really bad game. So keep that in mind. This video only works on the Hyperaccelerated Dragon. So let me just remove these other lines like this, and let's just start over from the beginning, and let's get into it. The Hyperaccelerated Dragon. So it starts with e4, c5, the Sicilian. We play knight f3, and they play the very early g6, the Hyperaccelerated Dragon. So that we know they're gonna put the bishop on g7. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna throw a bunch of pawns on this diagonal, undermining the mobility of this bishop. So we're gonna play c3, preparing d4. They play bishop g7, we play d4. And after they take, we take back. We are fully controlling the center, so black has to do something about this. So they're gonna play d5, only move. If you check the Grandmaster's database, this is the most played move by far. And now we just slide our e-pawn one step forward. We slide our e-pawn one step forward, and as you can see, we are completely blocking this bishop from moving anywhere closer to the center. So this is a really powerful dominant position for white. Also, this pawn cannot be attacked by a c pawn because there is no c pawn. So this is how it all starts. And then whether they play bishop g4 or the knight first, it doesn't really matter. We are going to play bishop b5. Bishop b5 is a very important move, and it forces them to either block the check like this or like this to c6. And those are the two main variations of this whole hyper-accelerated dragon thing. So there's only two. Of course, black might play some weird funky stuff. Good luck with that. But there are two main ones. Blocking the check like this or like this. And they also might play this straight up and then this and then this. Well, it comes down to the same thing. So in this position, black blocks the check. With knight c6, we just take the knight straight up, no brainer. They have this backwards pawn now on c6, and now we reinforce our knight with the other knight, pairing them up like this. Sure, we are blocking our bishop, but we are gonna play h3 pretty soon, and they're gonna have to take this knight, and we take back with our knight, opening up our bishop again. So that's why it's okay to block our bishop for now. Black plays e6 here to play knight e7 and castle. And we just castle. We want to play h3 actually. We want to play it as quick as possible. However, if we play h3 here, they can take the knight. And after we take back, they have queen a5 check. It's very annoying because after we block the check with the bishop, they just drop back one spot. And they're aiming for f1, interfering with our castling. And the only way to deal with this is by trading the queens. Now we have kind of an equal position, and we don't want an equal position, guys. We don't want an equal position because we're playing with white and we have a better position. So that's why we don't play h3 here. We castle first, get it out of our system, knight e7, and now we play h3. And if they take the knight, we take back with our other knight. And as you can see, our bishop is opened up. Black castles. And black probably wants to play f6 at some point because they want to create some space for the rook, for the bishop. So we play bishop g5, preventing this move. And they're gonna kick our bishop, and we're just gonna drop it back to d2. It's a nice move. We can play b4, and you know, we kind of extracted this pawn away from their king, weakened up this whole king side a little bit more. And after they play queen b6, we can just play b4, and they can bring the knight, but we can just defend both pawns. And later we can play g4 to kick back their knight. We can play g4, kick back the knight, and we have gained a lot of space and activity, and it's gonna be easier for white to play this position. So let's go back a bit, and I'm gonna show you now. Maybe black's not gonna take the knight here when we play h3. Maybe they're gonna go to f5. In this case, we're just gonna play g4 anyways, because it prevents the knight from going to f5, and it kicks the bishop. So g4 is a very common move in these positions, and you have to realize that this is a weapon that you have at your disposal. This funky move. Don't care about your king safety for now. It's safe. It's safe. And if they bring back the bishop, we just have this dance with the rook and with the rook and the bishop, and yeah, we're gonna end up with this rook here. Very powerful, very active, winning for white. Not winning, but better. So that's what you do when they drop back the bishop. Play g4. And another thing I want to show you guys is sometimes black they don't play e6, they just place knight h6, knight on the rim. Of course they want to go to f5. So what we do here is the same thing. We castle and we kick their bishop. We castle and we kick their bishop with h3. And after they take and we take, we have this knight here on the rim, and it's actually an easy target. So we're gonna build a battery with our queen and with a bishop. So queen b6, attacking this pawn. We can actually just leave this pawn. So bishop f4, and if they take, we want to build this battery with the queen bishop. But both these squares are defended by their queen, so we have to kick their queen. So we kick it with the rook. So after they take this pawn on a2, we can build this battery now with the queen. Queen to c1. And their knight can only go to f5. Only square where they can go. And now we can simply trap the knight with g4. Because their pawn is still on e7. They never played e6. So they don't have this square to drop back their knight to. And this position is, of course, winning for white because we are up a piece. We're going to be up a piece. So let's say they don't take this pawn here on a2, but they just drop back to a3 with their queen. Now we can build the battery like this. Queen d2. And we have the same thing. However, if we play g4 now, we're gonna hang our own knight. So, before we play g4, we play rook b3, kicking their queen with tempo, and now we can play g4 safely, once again trapping their knight and winning the game. So that's the downside for black. If they decide to play knight h6, of course it's not the bad move, but if they also take this pawn and we build this battery and we know why and we know how, then black is going to be in a bit of trouble. So that's how you play these variations after they block this check. You know, after move 7, bishop b5 check, and they block, we just take it. Okay. So black also might decide to block this check with knight to d7. In this case, we don't trade the bishop for the knight. We leave the bishop on the board. This is the completely different approach to when they block the check with knight c6, in which case we just take the knight. If we take now, we just help develop the queen. So just leave it there. Knight d2, pairing up the knights, same thing as we did before. And after e6, we just castle and we kick their bishop, and we find ourselves in this position. And now we play bishop g5, we prevent f6. So we play bishop g5 to prevent f6. This is this exact same thing as we did before. The only difference is they have this knight here and we have this bishop here. So this pawn is defended by this knight, so we have to remove it with the bishop. So now we trade our bishop for the knight, and they kind of have to take back, because if they take this bishop, we can save this one by taking this pawn with check. And black will just be down a pawn. And we can also take this pawn, by the way. And black will be losing positionally. So they have to take back this bishop, and now we can just take, and after they take, we take their dark squared bishop. And it's bad for black to lose this bishop, because they have these pawns on the light squares and their king is exposed on the dark squares. And we have this massive, brilliant, beautiful outpost for knight now, and this is just very good position for white. So I just went a bit fast because I just want to show you guys why we play bishop g5 here. Because yes, this pawn is defended by the knight on d7, but we can remove this defender. We can remove it if they have the guts to play f6 regardless. So that's why this is a good move. However, just in case they have played a6 at some point, you know, and we have dropped back to our bishop because we like the bishop pairs and we don't want to trade for the knight. now this move doesn't work. And you know why now. Because exactly, you can pause the video, because we cannot take this knight. And this knight is defending f6. So there you go. So if a move doesn't work, that also means that you should not play it. So that's why in this position we don't play bishop g5. Instead, we can just play h4, h5, undermining this structure, the fianchetto structure, and we'll take it from there. So if at any point black has played a6 and we drop back our bishop to d3, don't try to stop this move. And that's the whole difference with the previous kind of lines where black had played knight c6. Yeah. And we had taken this knight. This knight is not on d7 defending the f6 square. Okay. Just realize these things, because you cannot memorize these lines. It's not possible. It's too much. But you can try to understand the main concepts, the main weapons, so that you can deduce what the best move is, instead of try to, oh, I think I remembered. No. You're not Carlsen. Also, he understands everything. Doesn't just memorize. You don't have the brain to memorize 10,000 openings. You don't. Otherwise, you would not be watching this video. Anyways, we go back to this position and we have this. So in some positions, they just play a6 very early, and we have to drop back our bishop to d3. And now we can play h3 before castling, because if they take and we take, sure, they have this check, but we can block it with bishop d2, and they cannot drop back their queen to a6, interfering with our castling, because there's a pawn here and because there's a bishop here. So we can just block this check with the bishop, and they have to move back their queen. It's really bad for black. And we don't have to castle. So that's why in this position, realize this. That's why in this position we play h3. And we don't castle before we play h3. Whereas in all the other variations, most of them, 90% of them, we castle first.